It is super late here, guys, so I'm gonna have to do a whisper intro and a whisper outro. I'm really sorry. The rest of the video won't be whispered, I'll voice over. Welcome back to the Halloween tea party, where I'm attempting to do 31 tutorials for the 31 days of Halloween, or October as most people call it. Today's look is a comic book style cell shaded Catwoman, in case you can't tell from my face and the title and the thumbnail that you clicked on. Okay, let's get to it. I'm starting out with one of my most loathed products, hair gel. And as you can tell, it is no longer a ridiculous time in the morning, so I can actually speak instead of whisper. I know that a lot of you probably don't have bald caps, don't want to wear bald caps, so I thought I would try and do it without a bald cap but still make it look cool. So I am completely covering the top part of my hair in hair gel, and I'm basically trying to create a helmet so that when the hair gel dries, it's going to be really solid and I can paint on top of it. And yes, you are correct if you're looking at that comb and thinking, that looks like a dog comb. You're right, it's not a comb I use for my dog, it is a comb that I use to make dreadlocks. So it has not been near any dogs, don't worry about it. I just couldn't find my regular comb. And you know, it was late. I couldn't really hunt that well for it. So dreadlock / dog comb it is. So yeah, hair gel, smother it on, comb it back, trying to get it as flat and neat as possible, and then tie your hair into a ponytail at the back to hold it all in place. And then wash your gross, disgusting, sticky hands. Once my hair is sorted, I am going to leave that to dry for as long as possible. And I'm taking a grey eyebrow pencil to map out the shape of the Catwoman mask. I am altering it slightly. Catwoman's mask covers her ears, but obviously our ears are going to stick out and they're going to be really obvious. So I'm bringing the mask up so that the ears look like they should be sticking out. Oh, and I am using a reference picture, which I will link in the description box below if you want to check that out. Even though this is a comic book style look, I'm still using some makeup products because it's just much easier to use makeup for any skin tone areas than it is to try and paint them. So for the under eye bags, I'm taking some orange color corrector and just applying that over the bags with my finger and blending it out slightly. And then I'm just covering that up with a concealer that matches my skin tone. For the foundation, I'm using a really heavy coverage foundation so that I can look like I'm just one flat shade. And I'm using a brush to apply it because I don't want to cancel out all the mapping out. And obviously we only need the foundation on the areas where the mask isn't going to be. And even when I do my foundation with a brush, I do like to go in with just a damp beauty egg thing and just even things out because I find it removes any excess product that you have on your face. Then I'm setting all of that with a matching face powder, which is going to make everything look really nice and matte. Then I'm going back in with the eyebrow pencil to map out some more stuff, so where all the stitches are going to be, and I'm just following along with that reference picture of where to put the stitches and where I'm going to be putting the most intense highlights. Once that's all down, I'm taking some white face paint and applying that to where the strongest highlights are going to be. For comic style looks where the base is black, I find it easier to work from the lightest back to the darkest shade, the black, and then go back into the lightest shade to really highlight things. Then I'm going in with a blue face paint to add the blue around all of the white and in any areas where the highlight isn't as strong. And I am taking a few liberties away from the reference picture because I just think these kind of looks, they look so much more impressive the more shadow and highlight you have in them, and there's not that much in the reference picture. Then I'm going in with a pink because if you look at the reference, she has a pink light shining kind of behind and to one side of her. So on one side of the look, on the outer part of the face, I'm adding in that pink. This will end up going into the hair, but the hair is not dry enough yet for me to start painting on it. So it's kind of best to really leave the hair until it's completely dry. But if you are in a crazy rush and you need to get the stuff on your hair, then you could go over it with some hairspray because that's going to set. But I don't know how gross it would be putting hairspray on top of wet hair gel. You can let us know in the comments if you do that. Once those highlights are in, I'm going in with the black face paint and a detail brush. And I'm outlining around the highlights and around the edges of the mask so that I have nice crisp lines everywhere before I start going in with a bigger brush to fill in larger areas. You could just fill in all of the black and then go back to your reference picture for the placement of all the stitches, but I'm kind of building up the black in sections so that I can work from the mapping that I've got down, because obviously the mapping isn't going to show through the black. But it would be quicker probably to do it the other way and just fill in all that black and then go back over for the stitches. Black bases are probably the hardest thing to do with a comic book style cell shade kind of look, because it means that you don't have anything darker to use for the shadows. So you're really relying on those highlights to give everything its shape and its style. Which is why it's kind of nice to go a little bit more extreme with the highlights than the reference picture is kind of saying that we should. I'm bringing the black into my hairline to cover up any scalp that I have showing through, but obviously I already have black hair, so it's just going to make it look seamless. If you don't have black hair, then it's probably just going to look a bit weird if you do that. So you could either just give the edge of the mask a very definite line before it goes to your hair, or you could try and paint, a huge part of your hair black. But just as a warning, some face paints can stain your hair. I have dark hair, so even if it does stain my hair, I don't know about it. So yeah, just be a bit careful. Maybe test that on a small patch of hair if you're worried about staining. By that point, my hair was dry, so I'm going back in with that pink and some of the blue to add some of that highlighting going further back into my hair so that it doesn't look like it just stops. Because that pink light is coming from behind, so it would highlight more of the side of the head and, not just right along the edge of the mask by the eyes. For the stitches, I'm switching over to a wax-based white face paint because wax-based paints are much better for layering on top of other colors, so you'll get a really nice, strong, opaque white on top of the black. And I'm using two different brushes to do this. So I'm using a very thin brush to draw the initial line, the split line where the mask is split, and then a larger detail brush to do the stitches, because then I can just do the stitches in one swipe. And if you look at the mask, then you can see the stitches are much thicker than the line where the split is. With cell shading, I normally don't blend out the highlights and shadows. I normally just go with really harsh lines around them. But whenever I do black, I feel like it does kind of need to be slightly blended around the edges, or it's just a bit too harsh and intense. So I'm taking a dry blending brush and just blending the black into the blue and the pink just around the edges to soften those lines up. And you really want to go from the black into the blue, otherwise you can pick up the black on your brush and then when you put it down on the blue, it's going to leave like a harsh bit of black that's not going to be blended, and you'll have to bring your blend in further. Then I'm going back to that pink highlight, and I'm sorry that there is so much jumping around in this tutorial. I don't know what I was thinking. It was very, very late. So to bring that pink onto the face, because it's very harsh on the mask, the pink, so it would come across onto the face as well a bit, I'm using a fluffy brush and I'm just tapping it against the pink face paint cake, and I'm not adding any water to the cake or the brush, so it's only a tiny, tiny bit damp from where I used it before. And I'm tapping that on my face where I want the pink to be harshest and then blending it out slightly. And then I'm going back to the stitches. So I'm bringing the stitches back up into my hair as well, and you should find that if the hair gel has dried that you'll be able to paint on the hair, but obviously anywhere where there's little gaps between the hair, it's not going to apply really smoothly. But you know, either just spend more time in the gel phase, really getting everything nice and flat, which is quite hard to do, or you know, just go with it. Once I've finished all the stitches, I'm going back in to add some more highlights onto the hair. So some of that blue on the top, because light would probably be hitting the top of my head. And then I'm going back in with the white to add the final highlights. And these are sort of the highlights around the edges of things. Because where there's stitching, like around the eye holes, there would be almost a dent with a highlight. So these are almost at the edge, but you want to leave just a tiny bit of that black showing right around the edge. For the brows, I'm just filling them in with black, and I'm keeping it quite thin. And it can be a bit tough to do your brows with face paint and a soft detail brush like this. If you have a gel liner and an angle brush, it's going to be much easier to use that. With a soft brush, the hairs of your brows tend to get in the way a bit. It's hard to actually get the paint to apply to the skin beneath the brow rather than the brow hairs. Then for the eyes, we don't have to do the usual smoky eye super dramatic thing. We can just paint the entire lid black and wing it out at the outer corner and wing it in a bit at the inner corner to get that gorgeous cat eye shape. And because it's comic book style, I am drawing a line in that same black face paint, just going underneath my eye. You could do all of the eye bit with gel liner, which, you know, is probably going to last better than face paint would on your eyes and around your eyes. For the lips, we're going classic Catwoman red, so I am lining them with a red lip liner. And then filling them in with a liquid to matte red lipstick. Liquid to matte is going to work best for this because it will set, and then we can put those white kind of shine marks on them and they're going to stay where you want them to instead of kind of blending in with your lipstick over time. Once the lipstick is completely dry, I'm going in with a white face paint. Again, a liquid to matte lipstick would work better for this, but I don't have a white one, so face paint it is. And I'm adding shine marks onto the lips to make them look really glossy. Then I'm taking the black face paint and just really carefully outlining my lips with it. And this is kind of the nerve-wracking part where things can just go horribly wrong if you don't get a really nice, smooth, even line. So, you know, take your time with it. Then to finish things up, I'm bringing some of the pink highlights down onto the jaw on the pink side of things. And again, I'm using a dry fluffy brush and a dry face paint cake. So the color is not too intense and we can blend it out really nicely. If you have problems with that, you could use a pink eyeshadow to do it instead. And then on the other side, I'm doing a similar thing with the blue. So I'm adding blue to the areas where there would be shadow and a lighter blue to the areas where there would be a highlight, where the highlights hitting the mask would be coming onto the face. And then I'm going in with a detail brush and the black face paint to add just some lines where there would be lines on the face, so like these smile lines and around the nose and stuff, just to bring it a bit more into the comic book world. I did also paint a Catwoman suit on, but I figured that most of you guys would probably be wearing a Catwoman outfit rather than wanting to paint an entire Catwoman suit on. So I didn't include it in the video because it would have made it really long. But if you guys do want that video up with the clothes and stuff, let me know in the comment section and I will edit it and get it up for you guys as soon as I can. So that's it guys, you are now a cel shaded comic book style Catwoman. There'll be another video going live tomorrow, so if you want to be notified when that's up, you can click the subscribe button. If you like this look and this video, you can let me know by hitting the like button. And if you have any questions or comments or anything like that, let me know in the comment section. If you decide to recreate this look, I would love to see how it comes out. You can post it to social media, tag me in the post and use the hashtag Halloween Tea Party. And I'm also having a competition over on my Instagram, so if you want to be in with a chance of winning some goodies, all of the details are over there, and I will leave some links and things in the description below, along with all of the products that I've used. If this look isn't quite what you were looking for, then here are some alternatives that might be a bit more your style. And I hope you'll have an amazing Halloween, and I will see you tomorrow. Good night, guys.